meeting of the High Springs Community Redevelopment Agency to order at 6:37 p.m. All please rise for the invocation, which will be led by Member James.
Dear Lord, we thank you for another day. It's been a warm day, Lord, but we thank you for the fact that we can recognize that it's a warm day. We thank you for waking us this morning, and we thank you for allowing us to assemble here again tonight to take care of the business of the CRA. We thank you, and we thank you for allowing us to work together as one. We work together and we have no disagreements that cannot be handled. We thank you and we ask that you continue to have us work in this manner. We thank you for these things, and we all say amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
This time I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, second to approve the agenda. All those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. This time we'll accept the approval of minutes from June 2nd, 2016 meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, first item of business tonight, update on Main Street Sidewalk project. And I'll turn it over to CRA Director.
So I have included the estimate of work from McCraney and Associates. They are the engineering firm that is contracted with DOT to do the entire resurfacing project downtown. So DOT is saying that if we want to do sidewalks, we need to go with theirs. I spoke with Mr. McCraney today. The DOT project is actually being pushed back. They're not ready.
Not a surprise.
So they're not going to be going out to bid until November. So they're about 4 months behind schedule. Okay. So we're looking at May when they would get started. So our project may be pushed back to June or July.
I hope that in their pushing it back, that they somehow don't speed it up so that we're in the middle of pioneer days when they're doing that.
Yeah, they're not very good at communicating with me. It was the engineer. It wasn't DOT that told me they were moved back. It was the engineer. I'm talking with them. So this estimate that is before you, like I said, this is their estimate. What isn't included is that we are going to be getting most of the surveying at no charge to us by using their engineers. DOT has said that they will give us the surveying that they've already done. So that's about $4,000 to $5,000 on there. So looking at their estimate, they're right in line with what we have budgeted. Usually engineering is about 20% of your total cost, which would put the cost of the entire project between $93,000 and $113,000 if you add in that surveying that normally would have been included. And we have budgeted $112,010. So, they're right in line to where we should be as far as the budget. In the next budget year, I will ask to put in an additional $1,040 just to put it at the top. In case it does go to that high. I don't think it will, but that would be the highest limit of what we are expecting it to cost.
I'm looking at the price which they're showing for the engineer is $18,610, and then they talk about doesn't include permit fees. I'm assuming that's the city's permit,
yes,
which we're fine with, and post-development services, and so, and that's engineering post-development services?
Yes.
Okay.
So if when they come in and start doing construction, something's not right,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to fix it, that would be an additional.
Okay, did I see something here about, something about 90%? They'll submit a complete set of plans 90% of
Right.
submittal. So, so that the plans will be 90% done, I guess.
Correct.
When they, okay.
Correct. And at that time, we could make changes,
Mhm.
suggestions, get explanation of that.
Are those sidewalks going to have designs in them that we're looking
Yes.
at? Okay.
Mhm. So we would decide on that before we got to that part.
Okay.
Since the money's already earmarked, it's not, you have to get out of money.
No,
Certain amount of time.
we assigned it last September or October, so we have 3 years from October to spend it, so we're fine in that period when we designate it. Mhm. And so, item number 2 is to approve the estimate contingent on the DOT agreement. I did speak with Mr. McCraney and sent an email to DOT. DOT had asked that Mr. McCraney take the lead in putting together the agreement and getting with DOT, make sure that we're all in line, that we will be doing the work, but these are DOT sidewalks.
Mhm.
They are giving permission, and they will keep maintenance on it, that we are not taking on maintenance for it. So that's what the agreement will state.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the estimate of the cost of the engineering plans contingent upon the DOT agreement, which is indicated right now as $18,400.
$610.
$610.
Second.
Motion was second to approve the estimate from the training associates contingent upon DOT approval. Any other discussion? All those in favor vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. All right. Update on our CRA.
Well, we did meet with the county this past Tuesday. It was a little rough for a little bit, but all's well that ends well. So they did vote to agree and to extend our CRA for the next 15-year term extension, and we'll go over the actual details of that when we get to the consider approval of the interlocal agreement. At this point, once they have given approval, we still need to go back with our plan and present that. From county staff, we have gotten the recommendation that you guys give permission to me to make the changes just to match what the interlocal does. So they're not asking to change any of our actual plans, just the language in the back where it says millage rates, they want that changed to reflect the interlocal. But everything else, they're fine with.
So it's still going to reflect the base rate of 1986?
Right. It'll just, right now it doesn't have that, it says we are open to the county matching our millage. We would change that to say that the county will match our millage. Right.
Okay. And so we're looking to approve the interlocal tonight, and then the actual plan for the next 15 years will go to them for approval.
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, I mean, they can, whether we have the interlocal, they can send that plan back to us because there's some things that they don't like about what's in the plan.
Yes, they could send the plan back. The understanding that your executive director and I had and county staff had is that this would be going on the consent agenda for the county, implying to us that they intended just to adopt the plan, because on the consent have discussion of an item. So yes, they could send it back if they had issues specific to the plan, but the indication is now that would be on the consent agenda, their next agenda, and then on the consent agenda.
At the meeting with the county, was there some question about the detail of our plan, of the projects? Something about, do I remember hearing something? One of them raised an issue about not enough detail on the projects within that plan? And we're thinking of something else.
I didn't hear that from any
Okay.
commissioner at that meeting.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I think it was mentioned by
mentioned that
staff.
At the first, in our joint meeting
Mhm.
that we had, a couple of commissioners had mentioned, most of them had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if they mentioned that.
Because when I'm asking, well, why I'm asking is because I'm seeing a lot more detail in this packet of stuff than I believe what I've seen in the plan that's being proposed.
Packet.
In this packet that we've got here, you've got 15-year.
Oh, so this would be our goal. Is that what you're talking about? The goals?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So your plan tends to be broad, and then you have to make 3-year, 5-year, 1-year goals.
Right.
So those would also be sent to the county, but they're all included in the plan.
Okay.
These are just giving the more specific. This is what we're
Right.
going to be doing over the next 5 years.
Okay, so they'll see that.
Yes, they
Okay.
get a copy of those before the beginning of our fiscal year.
Okay.
So, Courtney, do you want to go over the actual items in the interlocal?
Sure. Do you guys want me to go kind of section by section, or hit the broad points, or?
I think it's
Personally,
broad.
I'd say broad.
Yeah.
Broad
Yeah.
points. Okay.
Fine if any member had any specific questions.
Okay, well, I'll hit the broad points, and then after that, you can ask specific questions if you have them. In this agreement, as your executive director said, it's an extension of your current CRA for a term of 15 years, with the parties getting together at that time, and you can get an extension for an additional 15 years. You are keeping the base year the same at 1986. The rate at which you calculate the tax increment is going to remain at 95% of the increase each year. Both parties are now going to contribute at the city's millage rate as the lower taxing authority. The first 5 years of the extension, starting 2016-2017 fiscal year, the city will begin repaying the approximately $200,000 in back owed TIP contributions from the early 2000s. So you have 5 years to pay that off, but you can pay it off sooner without penalties if the commission desires. During this period, you cannot sell bonds or have other financing that's secured with CRA TIP money without approval. The CRA has never done that, but you do have several items that are in your plan and you've discussed previously in strategic planning in the upcoming years that most likely will be bonded. So you might choose not to go with those plans, but usually any of your bigger projects are going to require that.
Okay. Once the 5 years is over, there's nothing in this agreement that prevents us from going out to bond, or do we still have to get the county's approval?
You still need to get the county's approval. The concern is that if you went out, let's say in year 5, you went out to bond and you bonded for 20 years, and the original agreement is for 15 years. Now you kind of forced everyone's hand that everyone's got to continue to pay in that into the TIP because you've obligated that future TIP money.
But is there anything in here that says that if we, that we're allowed to bond after that 5 years of paying back is up, that we're allowed to go out and bond as long as we are within the parameters of the plan, or we're still going to have to go?
You're still going to have to go the way this is drafted. I think the additional concern from the county was not just that you would extend it further, but because there's now been a history of non-payment, that if you went out and bonded and you hadn't discussed it with the county clerk and then you stopped making payments, that the county's still obligated to continue making payments to service that bond, and there's nothing to force them nothing to force you to keep paying the CRA payment. And so, that was one of their concerns, and so that's why you see later in the agreement, for us, is that we wanted section 17 and 18, which was a waiver of claims and a covenant not to sue. So we wanted something in writing from the county that, so we didn't have anything hanging over us if there was any threat of litigation for the missed years, payment, or some of the other deficiencies the county had concern with. And so that's also why in here there's a section about premature ending of the county's obligations, and one of the things that would trigger that is if you fail to make payment.
Right. Okay. Well, there's one paragraph there I have a little problem with the wording, but in order for this to get done, and for us to get this, I know this is what's going to take. So. Okay.
And I think that's sometimes the nature of agreements is that neither side is 100%. Everybody loses a little bit. But,
I just, I have a problem, and I'm not going to, go forward with this. Whereas, in this it talks about there's no evidence that we adopted an ordinance for the trust fund. And I'm fine with that. There's saying no evidence. Where I have a problem with is in the whereas clause it says the city failed to provide for a deposit of the city's tax increment. I would have felt better if it said, again, there was no evidence, that same kind of language, but it's there and it's going to go forward the way it is. So you need a motion?
The only change I would request before you make the motion is that you would make it a motion adopting the interlocal agreement with one change, which is in section 3, paragraph 2. It currently reads, the city pledges water utility services to secure its repaying into the trust fund. And it should read, the city pledges water utility service fees to secure its repaying into the trust fund.
Sorry, section 3, paragraph 2?
Section 3, paragraph 2, there should be an insertion of the word fees after services in the last sentence of that paragraph.
I'm missing the paragraph.
It's in section 3?
Yeah.
I think in our copy it's still that place.
Well, section 3 says during the replacement period. Section 3, city's obligations.
Okay, I don't think that you all have the final version.
We're looking at page 3.
You have got X's in yours, you do not have the final version.
Okay. Well, before we vote on that. Yeah, mine has X's, the one I have too. Can we hold off on that? I mean, as far as until we get a copy before us tonight?
Right. Is there a possibility, so you as the city commission will be voting on this next Thursday for as the board, is there a possibility that we can have a brief CRA meeting right before so that you guys could adopt this as a CRA board?
Yeah, I just assumed we could get one tonight, but
well, no.
I mean, I'm saying before we end the meeting tonight, can we get a copy
made?
If you
want to take like a recess, so you all can.
Well, we got other things to go through. That's why I was saying someone could go ahead and make copies for us while we go through the rest of the agenda. Mr. Chair, is that okay?
Guess we'll go to number 5, discussion summary and goals. Next slide.
All right. Yes. So our plan outlines what we're planning to do for the next 15 years, but it's good to set more attainable, realistic goals for the next 5 years, and then break that down into what we want to do in the next year. And this is for budgeting and for planning purposes as well. So what you have before you is what was provided during our workshop, as well as some of the things that you guys have mentioned and what is also in our plan. So I don't know if you've had a chance to review it, and if anyone wants to make some recommendations I mean, we could adopt all of these for the 5 year and then, pick out what we want to do for the next year. You know, it's really at your pleasure.
Mr. Chair? Couple things. So these are all the things that came up
Mm-hmm.
for 5 years.
Yes.
Okay. And do we have an idea if, based upon what our new agreement is going to be, the money's coming in, if all of these plans for the next 5 years will be covered by the funds coming in? Or we're going to have to pick and choose to figure out what funds we have to do?
Yes, you're going to have to, and if we go for the bigger capital improvements, we're definitely going to have to go out for grants of some sort in the next 5 years. If you look at the back on the last page of that one, right above the chart that says capital improvement projects and ongoing programs, you'll see what the total estimated 5-year revenue is combined for the city of High Springs and for the county. And the lower number is what I'm projecting, and the higher number is what the county is projecting. So the estimate is somewhere in between there, what we are expecting.
I'm sorry, the last page?
Right above the capital improvement projects and ongoing programs.
Yeah.
There should be, says estimated total 5-year revenue from TIF in the city of High Springs.
Right.
So this is what we are estimating in the next 5 years that we will get. This also includes the repayment in there as well.
949,000?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the lower end, because I'm basing it on a more conservative number than what the county, and then the county's number is the higher one.
Okay. The only other question I have, and I kind of been looking through this, but the one thing that I focused on at this point that I was the rails to trails. Explain it again. I'm having trouble with my
Number
Google
6.
is dropping out on me somehow.
And the second objective.
Okay. You have in that $23 per linear foot, 25,000 to 50,000. And where does that amount of money come from? Where'd you get that $23 per linear foot?
That was the estimate that Gainesville had for their rails to trails. When they did theirs, that's what it came out to.
Because I know when I had talked to DOT, it was much higher. But the other thing I wanted to just point out is, if we're going to do this and budget down, whenever we do it and budget for it, that this project include more than just the asphalt. That it include, because this is going to be like a linear park,
right,
downtown area, that we include some benches and landscaping. And I don't know if that's, I doubt that, I don't know if that's included in that or not.
No, that is not. This is just for the pavement, just for the asphalt.
Okay. Signage, whatever, but.
And if we decided to do that, we would need to get a master plan for it. So at that time, we would know more about what to really estimate. The ranges are all over the place for these.
I guess when I talked to DOT, they were saying it was if they did it. So, based upon their, well, actually, when I was talking to this has been some time ago, when I was talking to the county, I believe it was when they were all down here and the DOT was here, and it was if it was to their specifications. So I don't know who rules on that. What specifications does the county rule, or does the DOT rule? I guess probably it depends on where the money comes from. Maybe. Who's going to build it? So.
And who owns it? Like that's who's going to determine too.
And the only other comment I have on here, and I may have, there's a lot on here, so I may have missed it. Is that, I don't know if it's in this year's budget or if it's included in this, is the a master design plan for James Paul Park area?
It is included in here.
Okay.
It's number 7 under objective public infrastructures and parks.
Oh, I see it. Okay. That improvements includes the design.
Right. That would include that. So, like I said, we could go out for a grant for that. FERDAP would also.
Right.
it would qualify for
Yeah,
that.
anytime we can get a grant for something like
Yes.
that would be good. Okay.
Is this something where you need us to narrow down what we want to focus on for the next 5 years? Is it something tonight, or is this something?
I don't need it tonight. It's just if you could give me, budgeting. That's where I really need it. Is what do you want to see in the budget where? So I have put in. I'm working on the budget now. I have put in funding for a master plan for Janesville Park because I know that it's something that we've spoken about a lot. So that's already in there. But if there is something on here that you definitely want to see at the budget, I mean, we could talk about it at the budget workshop, but that way I could have it prepared for you.
Because like I know in the rails trails, that's gonna be some years before that comes along.
yes.
You know, they gotta buy it. No, they gotta buy it first. We may be lucky to get in the next 5 years,
Yes.
but we would hope, but certainly not in this next year.
One thing I would like to see in the budget, I think is a good idea. We've done good on our commercial side roads. One thing I would like to see in the budget is trying to put away possibly sprinkler systems.
Okay.
I just think that maybe, since we've been doing so good on the side roads, that may be some way of in the future improving those businesses, improving safety.
Okay. And that is found in objective sense of community safety and security. It's number 1. So I will definitely.
On the total dollars that you have in here, that we expect being conserved, the $949,000 in the next 5 years. I would like for an idea, a more a reduced figure, where you subtract out what you think the administrative costs are going to be over the next 5 years, so that we have a more realistic dollar amount as to what what we have to put on projects. Because if we're spending $90,000 or whatever it is on administrative costs a year, then we should subtract that out. Okay. So that we can have a better idea.
Well, I heard our director put $5,000 on salary each year.
After a couple of years, I'll be working for free, right? I'll be getting paid when you guys get paid.
I mean, I would like to point out that at the county meeting, it was brought up. They were concerned. They felt that our administrative expenses were very high. But of course, you had Gainesville there, and they get $3 million a year, and they say, oh, their administrative expenses are only 20%. Well, 20% of $3 million is a lot of money. When you got only 200, not even quite 200,000, then it's going to take a lot more, and percentage-wise.
If they look closer at those numbers, they would find that Gainesville subcontracts out a lot of their admin, and they don't count it as administration.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, I should take us down that road. So as of right now tonight, you don't need any specifics on what our goal is.
Just
basically when
right.
we could come back with the first budget workshop, if every member could have an idea of some of their main goals for at least, if nothing else, this coming year, maybe the next 5 years.
Correct.
Okay.
So yes, I will take you want the fire sprinklers in there, so I will put that in the budget, and the Janesville Park master plan I had already put that in. So if you think of anything else,
because we already know also that for this year that the sidewalks are in that basically.
Correct.
Although be carried over into next year, but
correct. This year we have the sidewalks. We also have the farmers market pavilion. Hopefully, that will be the parking project. So we do have 2 big projects this year already.
Any other member have any ideas or discussion about this? Let's go back to the
So the draft that we had before is basically the same, except the numbers are filled in that one area that you were talking about?
No, we have some other changes. Is Commissioner Jameson's packet up there?
No.
You have an extra one of the
Unless it's that
original
one?
with the X's? Yeah.
Here, I can give you, I've got
I can do that. Correct my honeycomb. And definitely all of the X's are filled.
Yeah.
It seems to be pretty much like dates.
Which were, yeah, the dates for the non-payment, the date, the ordinance number, things like that. We had a couple of language changes. The last whereas clause used to say, by which the county will acquiesce to the city's extending. We changed that to by which the parties agree to the city's extending. There were some big changes to section 3. We just didn't change the intent, we just really changed how we worded it.
I do have a question.
Sure.
On paragraph 1 under section 3, the city shall deposit 95% and then of the amount based, and then I think I saw the county further on, the county shall deposit 95% based. And I understand that when we do our budget and our revenue, we only use 95. We only budget or identify 95% of it. What happens to that 5%?
That 5% goes to the city's general fund.
And in this case, that means that 5% is what you're saying
Right.
would go to, and the 5% of the counties would go to the county's fund.
Right.
Okay.
So the statute says you can pick an amount between 50, not less than 50%, and not more than 95%.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's the big thing. Is like number one, we just changed how that was worded. Previously, it said that we could not use bonds at all during the replacement period, and we changed that to say that we could go to the county for approval. On that, we changed the wording again to that under the county's obligation, so it's clearer what's happening. Under section 5, it used to just say for premature ending of the CRA, if all major objections are met as established by attachment A. So we just changed that to major objectives of the redevelopment plan as amended, so that it's clear there. Section 6, you should just talk about this agreement is the entire agreement and supersedes everything else. So we included language that includes the attachments, which would be the plan, the redevelopment plan. Some of this, like in the indemnification, section 8, it used to say insurance and indemnification. We took out the insurance language. And now made that mutual. It used to just say the city would indemnify the county. Now it basically just says everybody indemnifies everyone and is responsible for their own actions and behavior. The project records used to just say that we would meet the requirements of public records, and now it's just mutual language. And we added section 17 and section 18, which is a waiver of claims and a covenant not to sue. So the county is waiving its rights as to any of the alleged failures of the High Springs CRA.
Why we said 17 see the numbers.
You thought I was going to be talking.
I just thought you were like picking numbers out.
Yeah. I was just testing you.
Oh, is that what
that failed.
Well, Sue won.
Sue got it. The original agreement was just between what was in your package, just between the city and the county. this needs to be it now has approval by the High Springs CRA. So it's still the city and the county, but it's now added you as a party. So now the section I wanted to tell you about that we would like to be included in your amendment is section 3, paragraph 2, and it's the last sentence, which currently reads, the city pledges water utility services to secure its repaying into the trust fund. And it should read, the city pledges water utility services fees to secure its repaying into the trust fund.
So basically, the only difference between that is that it's filling in dates and no
Yeah.
changing on here.
No, the main provisions are all still there. The terms that you had approved at our last meeting are all still in there. It's just adjusting some language so staff's more comfortable.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the adopting the interlocal agreement with Alachua County for the CRA extension and providing the change in section 3 paragraph 2 to include the word fees after services.
Second.
Motion to second to approve the interlocal agreement between Alachua County, CRA, and City of High Springs with the aforementioned changes recommended by staff. No other discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Chair report. I think I mentioned in the last city commission meeting that since we use CRA funds, I also have to start to thank members of Santa Fe Kiwanis Club for leading them through the
Thank you.
real nice.
Like that color? Yeah, looks nice.
But other than that, I don't have anything in my report. Mr. Director, do you have anything else?
Just interrupt for a second. We've talked about it before. We talked about the interlocal, but we'd also like the board to make a motion giving the executive director the authority to make the changes to the plan so that it's in line with the interlocal we just adopted.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to allow our executive director to amend our extension plan, CRA extension plan, to align with the local. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Anything else?
We did have a grant that just closed. It's pending its final inspection, and that's Estate Solutions. Their doors are done. Kelly Barber on the building that is now Cotton to Wood. It's almost complete too. They've been working on it a lot. We did have a few issues with some of their contractors taking up the sidewalks, but we got that resolved, hopefully. So it should be done soon. I want to remind everyone that the Museum on Main Street program kicks off next Friday with the sneak peek showing, and then on Saturday with the grand opening. I believe Chair Evans is going to represent the CRA.
Yes, you will.
So I heard at the grand opening. It's been going well. It's very busy over there. It's fun hearing them do it, and it's a lot of activity. I also want to mention that we did partner with SCORE, and last week they held their first business workshop, and they had 5 CRA businesses that attended, and this was on best accounting practices. Their next one will be held July 25th, and that is buying and selling a business in High Springs. That was another one that was recommended by the businesses that they wanted to know how to buy and sell business. Also, I wanted to speak about Music in the Park. Michael Loveday is busy working on the Folk in the Spring. He's almost completed his lineup and got everything ready. In talking with him, he would like the CRA to consider doing less shows. He would like to do less shows next year. Just focus on the ones that are better attended. So instead of having it every month, it would be 6 shows a year instead of the 12 shows a year. He thinks he can just get better attendance and put more into it if they're not so close together. Our budget workshop is scheduled for July 19th at 6 p.m. And we will be going over it then. And I also wanted to mention that I am working with Mr. Williams on a African American oral history project with the University of Florida, and we will be applying for Florida Humanities grant to help with that. And that is all I have.
Any questions or anything?
Nope.
All right.
Make a motion to do.